So I don't know. I kind of want to start out like Raul, friend of the show, Raul, ask a question here. He said, "Is this the show?" And I have to say,
Is
Raul,
it?
it's not. We gotta wait.
Gotta wait.
I've been sitting here all day. Wait till I stand up, and then that'll be the show. We'll just start.
Well, hurry up and stand up.
I'm trying. My desk's not going any faster, guys. This is how we start like every episode. This or talking about coffee.
Usually Keathley's late because he's making coffee.
That's right.
He's on time.
Yes.
All right.
I'm the one who's late.
So is this show?
No, I'm always the one who's late. It's fine. It is the show now. Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sure. It's always
Perfect.
Listen, we always have this debate. I come in recording immediately. This is not interesting to anyone.
Nope.
How's it going?
You have to explain it now that you started.
Explain what? I don't know.
Okay, never
Well, you
mind.
come in recording.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always listen. Whatever's in the show is in the show, and the show is the show. So whatever goes into the show goes into the show. We don't edit it out. It's just the show. So yeah, you just record the call, and then we're good to go. How's it been going?
I'm doing great. I've had the reason I've been in this chair for 3 days is because the conference has been fantastic. My favorite part always has been the hallway track, and Toucan has been a really amazing piece of software for the hallway track to be able to bounce around from table to table and see people going across the room. And every time Frank Hunlith logs in, I just start sending him hearts over and over, no matter where he is. It's really awkward because everybody else gets to see the hearts float across the screen from me to him for like 5 minutes.
That's awesome. I love it. And you just did a fireside chat right before this. How was that?
Yeah, with Frank actually.
Yeah.
I couldn't send him hearts in front of everybody there. I would have.
Oh, were you sad about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we had a good time with Frank and Justin and catching up with them. I'm excited about the day when we can all do this in person again. But this has been like the next best thing. It really has been. Toucan. I can't say enough about it.
Is this the first time you've used Toucan?
It is, and I was pretty thrilled. At first, it took me a minute to figure out how to talk to people, and I noticed that when people are talking, it like vibrates a gray ring around them, and you can tell the people who have never used it before because they're off by themselves, and the gray ring is going like this over and over, and they're all alone. So they're like, how do I do anything in here? But you pretty quickly figure it out, and it was great. Got to talk to some pretty cool people and meet up with some new faces and some old faces. So me.
That's awesome.
I'll just hang out in the hallway all day if they let me.
This is true. Keathley, how are you doing?
Good. I'm good. No, it's been good. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed watching the iteration of conferences. And we actually talked about this last week in the episode that is going to come out soon. And then we talked about this, I think, last time we did one of these podcasts, is like the idea of having a conference move virtually is a really interesting opportunity because you can start to take advantage of some of that stuff. And obviously, like, I love going to conferences. I love seeing people. I love hanging out with my friends and all that sort of stuff. I love the hallway. I love all of it. It's been fun to see how to take the good parts of that experience and then adapt them and make them work online. And it's been, we now have had a year of practice at it or whatever, but it's been really good. And so I've been just enjoying seeing the evolution of that start to take place, and I think that's really cool because it opens up this whole thing where all this like good stuff starts to happen to a much wider group of people who might not, for any number of reasons, be able to take advantage of it. So I really enjoy that. And I've been sort of just enjoying that aspect of it more than even anything else at this point.
Yeah, agreed. It's often like, I feel like at the beginning we were all transitioning, and that's like one of the hardest things to capture, right? Is that hallway track that Amos was talking about, right? When you go to, I love going to conferences, and it's for the talks, but it's also to get to see the people. So being able to somehow figure out how to extract that into a digital experience that works is super rad. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy. So like figuring that out is awesome.
No, and doing doing the live podcast. So this is our fifth live podcast, something like that.
Sure.
But some of them were on stages, and these are in this environment. And when you're like everybody who's watching here, please like say stuff in the chat, talk to us, give us feedback, because when we're doing shows normally, the only feedback I get is from like Chris's microphone. And then when we've done live shows on stage, it's very different. Here we get to be more interactive. We get to see what you're saying. It's, that like whenever I say something dumb and you snicker at your neighbor about it, just go ahead and do that in chat now, because it's fantastic whenever I get to see everybody interacting. And that's not something that we get to do whenever we're doing an in-person conference up on a stage. Even for speakers, we have Huva over here on the left, and we have chat, and we have Q&A, and everything's going on at once. And there's a lot to like watch and keep up with, but it is a different experience that I have come to enjoy. The first couple of talks that I went to at a virtual conference, I was like, oh no, this is not going to be the same. And you're right, it's not the same, but it's still a lot of fun. So please participate. That's what makes this one special.
It totally does. Somebody just asked, how many times did he just say show? I think that was a lot of times.
Yeah. I think it was 7.
Also, another question. Do either of you know what your kids had for breakfast this morning?
I know. I exactly know. This is the hard-hitting details that people come to this to find out. Avocado toast for my daughter, and then oatmeal for the boys.
Your daughter is super hipster.
I was going to say,
no idea.
It's like fitting in with the millennials already.
Yeah. She's got good taste.
I left my house. My kids were still in bed. And when they don't have to get up and go to school, they're like, whatever, I'm sleeping. Teenagers,
Same. I feel the same way. I was going to say, go ahead, and also if you want to ask questions, we will respond to them. So go ahead and preemptively put stuff into there, and we'll talk about it in just a second. And we'll continue to shuck and jive for just a moment while questions come in. Can I show off the books on type theory on my bookshelf? No, because I can't out myself as someone who might use types. I have a brand of dynamic typing apologists, and I must maintain that brand. It's all about refusing to give in even when you may or may not be wrong. That's how you have good brand.
Is that your brand?
I hope. I hope so. I hope that's what people take away from this, is that's my brand.
So did any of you get to sit in on any of the talks? Any interesting insights? Any favorite moments from the conference?
I already said mine was Toucan. And I also I took oh man, now I'm going to forget his name. Carlos, I think, was doing sketch notes and uploading them into Huva, and it was pretty fantastic. And so I actually did sketch notes too. Because he inspired the heck out of me, and I uploaded on there, and it's not near as cool as his, but I'll take it.
It takes skill. I can't draw, sketch notes even for me would look like a disaster. Beyond stick figures, my ability to diagram things quickly is terrible.
I just try to make different fonts everywhere, and I do that afterwards. I draw them straight lines and then go back at the end and fill in and change those straight lines into different things. And then if you do lots of fonts, then people don't notice that you can't draw.
And it just looks cool, right? It just looks cool. That's what I'm going for, just to try and look cool anyway.
And lots of colors.
Oh, there you go.
So
go ahead.
I think we have a question from Daniel Craig, who asked to be a friend of the show. So from Daniel Craig, friend of the show, how can I help people I love to learn to program? I learn programming as a solo activity, so it doesn't come naturally to me to think of learning programming as a pair activity, but I want to help other people get great jobs. So how about it, Anna? You have been teaching programming a lot over the years. So
How can I help people I love? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just rereading the question. Sorry. To make sure I grasp it.
Perfect.
Daniel, we apologize on behalf of Anna.
Yes. No, I want to make sure. I know it's not flippant. It's actually really important. I spend a lot of my free time trying to help people learn to program. I just want to make sure I captured all of the question.
You read it again and we'll vamp.
Thank you, Chris. Amazing. I think what was it? Nope.
Nope. I have no
idea.
idea.
Never mind. I'm just gonna keep going. There are actually a lot of. I wonder if it's programming in general, but there are a lot of.
I think somebody's unmuted.
I sorted it. It's fine. It's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of resources out there, for varying communities have put together resources to help folks that are just getting into programming. For Elixir, as using ElixirBridge as an example, I've put in a lot of time developing a curriculum. We're kind of in the process of rewriting it now because it's a little bit outdated because we kind of paused during the pandemic. But as far as the question of how do you help teach somebody, I think finding one of those curriculums that are easily accessible. And then I think it's a matter of really just sitting down and having the patience of walking through the steps with that person and trying to not only help them understand what's happening, but help them understand what's happening in the context of their own understanding, right? Because they have, certain things in life that they've learned and certain understandings that they have. And so it's like a combination of learning from first principles and by analogy, where stepping slowly with them through something simple and being able to help them understand what's happening, but also in a relatable way. I think pair programming is great because especially if somebody's new to programming, you sit down at the terminal and the terminal itself can be really intimidating. So just sitting down with them and having them go through the motions of being able to patiently and slowly explain what's happening while you're trying to build something. So you're not just learning commands or whatever, but you're working together to do some simple project. That way that person feels like they've accomplished something that helps them get excited about it and they want to continue learning. I think as far as the pairing aspect, it's really just a matter of being patient and being willing to explain and if one explanation doesn't work, sitting there and figuring out an explanation that resonates and then building upon that. If that made any sense.
Yeah, I have kids that I try to teach to program, and I found for me giving them their own project and then getting out of the way, but being physically in the same room as them while they're doing it can be really helpful. And then when they do ask questions, I guess, what is it? The Socratic method. I just try to ask them questions that they already know the answer to lead them to it. It seems to work really well for my kids whenever I'm teaching programming, not so well whenever I try to teach them math. And I'm like, well, what's 2 + 2? And they're like, that has nothing to do with it. So you've got to judge each person individually and the situation that you're in. But just being present whenever they're struggling can help a lot, be that rubber ducky or whatever we've called it over the years.
That's a really good point, Amos. The continual question asking, like a rubber duck or the Socratic method, whatever you want to call it, helps them further their own understanding because it helps you figure out what they don't understand. And so that also helps deepen the learning. And I think another point is the frustrating thing I think we can all attest to about learning to program, especially solo, is that are those moments when you get stuck, right? Because when things are going well, it feels good. When those moments where you get stuck, you don't understand something, it's really easy to get defeated and feel like you can't understand it, or you're incapable of understanding it, or you can't move forward. So really being present and being able to help somebody work through those moments makes the learning process a lot easier.
I think a lot of people, I know for myself, well, I won't speak for a mass amount of people that I actually don't know. So I'll also start over. I know for me, also being very kind of self-taught in terms of programming, so much of programming is holding a weird mental model in your head, like holding arbitrary rules in your head. And they really are arbitrary, right? There's very few overlaps with the rest of the world. And like there's only like loose analogies you can make. So you have to be good at just holding onto a weird set of rules and then making intuitions about what those rules imply. And I think my intuition is that those of us who are self-taught, one of the things that defines like self-taught programmers is like that idea of being able to hold an arbitrary set of stuff in your head comes very naturally to you. And if that's the case, I think it is really challenging to figure out how to like explain that to other people. And so I like the idea of having a way to talk about those mental models. But I am like at best an armchair educator, which is to say I have no real backing in education at all. And so this is all just me talking more than it's like actual well-informed thought.
Well, and there's more than one approach, right? That's the other thing, right? Many people learn differently. And so I think it would be a disservice for us to say that this is the one way that works, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's really not the case.
This is a good question here. If asked by someone on the business side about why use Erlang Elixir, what would you say?
Oh, I deal with this all the time.
I get asked this question a lot, actually. Yeah. It's fascinating. Like I get asked this question in a bunch of different venues from a bunch of people. So I think it's interesting on a meta level that this question comes up a lot. So yeah.
I always try to figure out why are they asking? Because there's usually a pretty good, there's something that they're concerned about. And no matter what we say, until we figure out what they're concerned about and truly understand where they're coming from, we're never going to be able to communicate to them why use Erlang or Elixir. Recently, I had a client asking me why should we do this in Elixir and Phoenix instead of Ruby and Rails, because they had a lot of Rails experience in the background. And I started talking about performance and not like non-blocking stuff and dealing with background job, because that has been really difficult in my experience in Rails whenever you start to get bigger and bigger platforms. And it wasn't their concern at all. They had been on a project between the Rails project and starting this one that was in a language that wasn't well known, that even when they went to look for people who had skills in it, when they were starting to get desperate, they went on to LinkedIn and searched, and not a single person popped up on LinkedIn. And that is like nearly a limitless platform. So their concern was actually being able to find developers. And I started talking about like, you could pull people from other languages and train them. We have Elixir, we have Erlang people that can come in, and the quality of the people that I run into. And that actually led them to be really excited about it. The fact that they had, in their previous experience, spent a lot of time hiring people who weren't the greatest quality level in the world, and like getting a hold of people that came to work on their teams that then they had to figure out how to let those people go. This is not a nice conversation to have, and nobody ever wants to have it. But whenever I talked about, the people that I've met in the Elixir community and the Erlang community, being thinkers and learners and people who want to push the envelope, then they were happy, because it wasn't about technology or the quality of the technology. It was about the quality of the people. So I went at it wrong to begin with, because I had my preconceived notions of why would I choose Elixir, which is a technology reason. But I had to figure out why they wanted to choose it, why they were concerned about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anna, you go.
No. Oh my God.
Okay. Alphabetical order. Alphabetical order.
I was doing I was contracting with a company who was like experiencing the same stuff, and I think the question itself is rooted in a sub question, which is that like the company doesn't want to use Elixir, so how do I convince them to do so? It's like because otherwise like this wouldn't be an issue, or Erlang or whatever, your Beam language of choice. And I think that you have to, yeah, I mean, you have to figure out what it is like that's like stopping those people from adopting, right? And I don't actually think you can just provide benefits, because unlike programmers who see the benefit of everything and the trade-off of nothing and will make any decision based on any arbitrary benefit that they see, like business people do have like totally different rubrics for how they like make those decisions. So I think that you have to figure out what it is that's really like motivating their decisions, and then work to alleviate those pain points. And those are going to be different on a business by business basis. I think there's I mean, it's often going to be optimizing for like, I want to have 100x startup mega growth and hire 1,000 people tomorrow and that sort of stuff. And it's like, I don't know what you do about that situation. So, you have to figure out what it is that's keeping them from wanting to adopt the language or the runtime or whatever. And then either, assuage those fears or, work within that paradigm, right? You understand that context and the ways they're making their decisions and optimize for that. Which is all real hand wavy and not useful to a lot of people. But like, I mean, because the problem is like, you can say all these things and we are all like, we're all the totally wrong people to answer this question. So like in so many ways, like we're here, like, which means we're the wrong ones to like, which means we were already bought in, like we already believe in it. And so it's like, you can point to 1,000 things of, the runtime stability and like performance and whatever, right? You could name, and you can name a bunch of case studies and show people like, this amount of scale, this many developer hours, that sort of stuff. And and that may not matter to anybody. So you have to really hit them where it matters for them. Like you need to be empathetic and understand like what's the context that they're working in, and then try to provide something that's useful to them. So yeah.
Yeah, we see that a lot. I think all of us, Keathley at one point, myself currently, and Amos, all do consulting work. And so this comes up a lot as a question. And every answer is different because of the context that folks are coming from, and the size of the company and where they are. Somebody said I'd include programmer productivity, maintainability, and resilience in your answer. And that's totally true, depending on the conversation that you're having, right? And what they're looking to do and what they're looking for and what perspective they're coming from, right? Because for like, if it's like, a technical leader in a company looking for a new language for the systems that they're building and scaling, they might care. If it's business people, they might care about different things more than they care. So again, not that they don't care about those things, but as Keathley was saying, there are pros and cons to every decision. And so what things are they thinking about?
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go back to asking questions then and say like, really the secret to getting people to use X tool is asking them a lot of questions. Just keep asking questions and you'll figure out what they need.
or to do that, right? To figure out what they need, for sure.
Yep. And then you can shape your answer to make your tool of choice fit into their pigeonhole.
Consulting 101.
There you go. Congratulations. Everybody go start your own company now. Yeah. Ready.
We have another question that kind of shifts a little bit, but as far as like needs, what do y'all think the community needs currently? Better tools, docs, libraries, deployment story, language features, visibility, books, blogs, podcasts?
I don't feel qualified to answer this question either. I appreciate that people feel like they should ask us, but I think from my perspective, we have a lot of books. We have a lot of blogs, and they're good, but many of the things that I see out there are written for beginner, early intermediate. I wouldn't even say like advanced intermediate people. And I'm going to read that in just a second, Robert. And the, I can't read it. It's too small on my screen. I feel like we need some things that get more in depth and get more to the point to get to push us past that intermediate level and into the advanced level and get us thinking about different things. I do think, like, don't walk away from the beginner level stuff and the early intermediate level stuff. But I think as us as a community to continue to grow and continue to push, if that is our goal. I mean, not all of us want to do that. Some of us love a small, tight knit community and we don't want to get too big. Right. But if that is our goal as a community, is to grow, then I think we need to grow up and out. And right now I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on out, but let's also grow up.
Yeah, I that was going to be something I was going to say, is like, I think something between like medium and advanced level information. I don't know how you want to put these scales on there, right? Like everybody's going to have a different viewpoint on that, on like what you call those scales. But like I think we need some, I think there's kind of a gap. There's definitely a gap there when it comes to how to put this stuff in production and like deal with it. And like more advanced information. Like I was just trying to think, like I can't think of a single Elixir book that talks about ETS. And like ETS is the most important thing that I use on like a daily basis, or like one of them, right? It's like it's such a crucial part of building systems with this stuff. And like I can't think of a single book that touches on it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I know Sasha's book does, but I mean, like gets deeper into the, like, here's how to use this for a bunch of different use cases and that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously like Fred's book gets into some of that stuff, but I hope you take my meaning. I don't know that there's like a end-to-end sort of like building an application and here's how you use all this sort of quote unquote advanced stuff. I don't know that I consider ETS to be advanced, but you get what I'm saying.
How about you, Anna?
Yeah, I think I agree with those sentiments. I'd like to applaud that the community has done such a good job with so many resources for folks that are just getting into the community. Because there are certain communities where it's not the case, but I agree that expanding up or expanding more in depth into more advanced topics would be a thing I would love to see more of.
I think I'll just say too, like the thing that I want to see personally is not a specific thing. It's pretty nebulous, but I think like I just want to see people build more cool stuff and talk about it. Like I know that that's not useful, but I think that if people want this ecosystem to succeed, we have to all sort of keep championing it and saying like, no, like here's the success of it, and here's like why this is working for us, and here is all the cool crap that you can just do. Like, isn't this awesome? I think the more we all go out and talk about that kind of stuff and support each other in all of our weird ideas, the better off we're gonna be. I've said this before. It's like I don't think we win, quote unquote. Like I don't think we ever, I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of adoption trying to play the like mass adoption game, in the sense that like you can't out Rails exists. Like they already did it. So like, what are you going to do that's different, that is revolutionary in its own way? And so that's the thing I'm interested in. And I just want to encourage people to like go out and do that kind of stuff. I think that that's really important. Go out and build something, that people tell you is a bad idea. Like, cause I don't know, lots of people
do you think it's a good idea? Yeah.
Yeah. If you think it's cool, go out and build it, like that could be fine.
I think that teaches people to think too. Like when you're willing to go outside, I saw somebody, Justin, I think, was talking about universities and their teaching and what they're teaching, but really the tool, I choose Erlang, I choose Elixir because it's a tool that makes the problems that I enjoy solving a little simpler to solve than if I tried to write it in C or Java or anything else. And the beam is really what gets us there, right? Or all the work that Robert and Mike and Joe, Bjorn, thank you, all of you. I see Robert down there in the corner. So thank you, Robert, for all the work that you brought forward, because those are the problems that I want to solve. So if you find that weird problem that you want to solve and you get excited about it, other people will get excited about learning too, and learning about this language and this ecosystem and how it can solve the problems that they want to solve. And if it does, that's okay. So I want universities to teach people how to think and question what they're doing more than I want them to teach a specific language. And I think that will get us to a better point as a wider community, even outside of Beam, but as a software community, as human beings, we'll be at a better place if we get people to think and question what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're going to do it in the future. I feel like I got deep there. I didn't mean to.
Very. No, but I think it's an important thought, right? And I think it's that makes a lot of sense, right? Like that's the important part, right? Keathley, you look like you're deep in thought.
I'm reading the question. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to catch up. I feel like a Twitch streamer. I'm trying to catch
You
up. I'm
are,
gonna start shouting out
currently.
bits. Yeah, thanks for that sub.
You're natural. Did anybody ever tell you that? I'm going to answer real quick the ElixirBridge question because there seem to be a few votes on both of those. Where is it going from here? We're trying to revamp the curriculum and bring it up to date because we basically paused for the pandemic. It's me and my co-founder Matt Mills, and we both were really busy, and like life happened and the pandemic happened, and so we're trying to get it back up and running. So hopefully there will be a new curriculum coming up soon. You'll be able to see. And as far as if you wanted to make an event, feel free to reach out to us. Either if you go to the GitHub or the ElixirBridge.org site, or on Twitter, you can find us, and we can tell you a little bit more about how to make that happen offline. It's a little bit more of an involved conversation, but we can definitely help you provide the support and maybe find sponsors if you need to set up a workshop, maybe now virtually, eventually in person. But please feel free to reach out to us.
This is the thing about the live shows, is that you get all of our awkward pauses.
This is true. I do like this question. What are the challenges that y'all see that the Erlang and Elixir community have over the next few years?
I think that goes back to that growth thing. How there are so many of us in this community that are in that intermediate field. We don't have 5 years experience in this. There's a lot of incoming people. So how do we get that growth from intermediate to advanced users? And even in Erlang, like I feel like there's a new influx of people coming into Erlang too. Some of them through Elixir, but they're in that same place. We need to give them tools and resources to grow from that intermediate to advanced. And that is what will sustain us and keep us around for a long time and for the future.
Keith, I like your response to somebody asking how I can get Elixir deployed to production.
Yep. Sorry, there's a running joke amongst my friend group, because it's one of the things that people talk about a lot is like deploying Elixir is really hard, and then you like ask them what they're trying to do, and it's like, well, I'm trying to provision Amnesia in clustered setup across 3 different disks on Heroku, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I understand the problem that you're having now. It's like, it's like, I want to deploy a super stateful application with 0 downtime deployments on Kubernetes with Docker, with, like across multiple cloud providers or something. And it's like, yeah, that's like just hard. Like, I don't like literally any runtime. That's like literally just hard. So like, and so I think the notion that Elixir is really hard to deploy or something like that, these days, right? Like, I'm not going to be an apologist for anything, but I think these days is like, that's way overblown. If you want to use releases and all that sort of stuff and Docker and all those sorts of things, if you want to like do complicated stuff, then yes, your deployment story necessarily is harder, and there is no like anything that's going to save you from that. Like it would be hard in literally any runtime, and I don't know. I just find that to be very funny. So it's become a meme within like my social Elixir circle of people saying like Elixir's literally undeployable and stuff like that, which is just not accurate these days.
Did you say I've deployed it?
Yeah, I did it one time. It happened.
One time?
Yeah, I managed it one time.
And therefore it exists. Did you look like you were thinking deeply about the challenges facing the community, and you were going to say something before I distracted you with the calling you out on the joke around deployment?
No, I don't know. That's a really, really good question, and I'm just thinking about what that looks like, what the challenges are now, and where we go from here. I don't know that I have a good answer to that. That's a really tough one.
Do y'all feel like you've seen the community's been around for a while? Do y'all feel like you've seen kind of good habits and patterns developed as far as we build systems in the community? Or do you feel like there are approaches that you've yourself personally taken that you think work well, but that haven't necessarily been adopted, that you would like to see more of? Like,
I'll say this: the thing that's bouncing around in my head is like the major thing that I'm concerned about. I think we're very, how do I talk about this? I think we are very close to a tipping point where our early adopters who have a lot of knowledge of this stuff are going to leave.
why do you think
because early adopters always leave. Like people who early adopt stuff tend to early adopt stuff over and over again, right? Like that's in aggregate, right? Not individually, right? But like in aggregate, turns out people who are way less risk averse for adopting a thing will continue to adopt new things as they find the new thing that works for them. And they try a bunch of stuff, right? I think we're reaching a point where, those people are going to start to leave. And if that happens without sort of filling the gaps of knowledge there, then that's kind of what I was getting back to with the thing about, I think one of the things we kind of maybe need a little bit more of is like kind of intermediate to advanced level documentation, not documentation, but like books, like, and that sort of knowledge stuff. That's kind of what drives me to think that is because if all of a sudden, like all those people stop talking and they move on, then you're left with a real large gap. And it's really hard to begin to bridge that gap, both from a, just like from a, personal standpoint, but I think also from a marketing standpoint. Like this matters when it comes to like marketing the language and the runtime and all this sort of stuff. And so I think that that's a thing that's been on my mind for a while now. And I'm slightly concerned about it. I don't know that I know how to do anything about that. But this is definitely a thing that I've been thinking about a lot and trying to talk to people about a lot.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I actually hadn't considered that aspect of things, but given the state of the community, that's totally a real thing. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I don't either. So, that's, and to some degree that there's not like anything any one person can do. And it's why I continue to champion the idea of like, go out there and like show people the cool stuff that you've built. Because I think getting people talking about it and driving excitement and getting people, interested in that sort of stuff and building that hype, like as kind of dumb as that sounds, like is really important, like really exciting. I think that can have a large impact on how people view the community and that sort of stuff. I don't know that we want to get to like, as much as I value this as somebody who uses libraries, I don't know that it's like people make weird judgment calls on stuff, right? It's like why the Clojure community occasionally goes into their READMEs and does like proof of life, like commits to their READMEs where they're like, this library still works 2 years after I wrote it. It hasn't changed, it hasn't broken. So, it's still good to use, but I just wanted to commit it so you would know that it's still alive. That sort of stuff. It's like, that's, that's a way to tackle that. But driving interesting discussions about that stuff is useful.
So I think we're getting close to, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're getting close to time, or we're over time.
Yeah, I think we're over time, and it says the after party starts in 1 minute.
All right.
And you have to continue to shill for Toucan.
That's right. So everybody come to Toucan. And I was told yesterday that I'm really good at icebreakers. And so I'm going to call you out. Mackenzie Morgan hopped in to talk to me. So everybody go talk to Mackenzie Morgan because she's really cool. And how's that for an icebreaker, Mackenzie? Welcome.
Well, in closing, real quick, for both of you, one thing you think you're excited about for the community for the coming year?
Oh, that's supposed to be a real quick answer.
I'm really excited to maybe attend a conference at the end of the year, barring any obvious problemes.
Wherever Keathley is on your screen, that's what I'm pointing. Yeah, I like. I'm a big fan of remote work and everything, and remote conferences and getting to see people that I don't normally get to see. But for me personally, the energy to make new things and to do those fun things that we talked about, all of us needing to do, I get energized by other people and talking to them and their ideas and in person. So that's just me. But yeah. I hope we'll get back together soon.
Super excited to maybe see y'all in person, maybe in November. Could be.
And then we'll see what happens with NX too. I'm pretty excited about that.
Totally. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening to us talk and asking questions, etc. Super fun.
Thank you. See you all in Toucan. Be a Toucan.